Welcome to Ask Hare Krishna series. In today's show, viewers' questions will be answered by His Holiness Bhakti Vikasa Swami Maharaj. His Holiness appeared in this world in 1957 in England. He joined ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, in London in 1975 and was initiated in that year by ISKCON's founder-acarya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. From 1977 to 1979, His Holiness was based in India, mostly traveling in West Bengal, preaching Krishna Consciousness and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. He then spent the following 10 years helping to pioneer ISKCON's preaching in Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand and Malaysia. He has traveled widely throughout the subcontinent, lecturing in English, Hindi and Bengali. His Holiness also travels to and preaches Krishna Consciousness in other parts of the world. He continues to write books and magazine articles. His books have been translated into more than 15 languages. His Holiness has inspired devotees to build farm communities to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's earnest desire to establish Daivi Varnashram, which is a very important aspect of Vedic culture.
Hello, I am Anup from Agra. My question is, there are many poor and hungry people in the world, so naturally one might ask that if there is a lot of money spent on the temple, then why do we spend so much money on temples? Thank you.
Oh, you see in Bharuch a few years ago that, oh my God, I spoke on that came up. You remember that? Yeah. Even the guy who asked it was very satisfied with the answer. He's some young journalist. That was in Hindi though, wasn't it? Yeah. So shall I say it in English? What did I say at that time? Oh, he was saying there are so many poor people, and I said, no, India is not a poor country. There's so much money. If you get all the black money back, it's one thing. There is enough money for everything. It's just that by greed, some people get more and others get less. So if you spend money for temples, people are spending so much money. I just heard Srila Prabhupada talking about this. Previously people used to build temples and churches and mosques. You can see all over Europe so many old temples going back, churches going back hundreds of years. They're the architectural remnants of the old cultures. In Italy especially, Italy is like a whole country of a museum of superb art and architecture. It's all mostly it's all religious. So previously people had that idea, and their needs were fulfilled also. Their needs for eating and shelter and food, that was all fulfilled. Now you may say, well, there were some poor people at that time. Well, there are poor people at this time also. So previously rich people were spending money to promote God consciousness. And there were some poor people also. Nowadays they don't promote God consciousness, and still there are poor people. Oh, that question came up in the Oh My God thing. So the Oh My God movie gave the idea that money is being misspent for religion and we should use it to feed the poor. So I asked her, okay, the people, they're making crores of profit of rupees out of this film, how much are they spending for the poor? Zip, which means ziffer, nothing. They're just, it's something like in the 1960s and 1970s in the West, there are all these pop groups making songs about how the money society, people are only interested in money, and they're making lots of money making these songs. Their records sold very well. It's hypocritical. Once in Detroit, some Christian priests, one was a bishop, I think, came to Srila Prabhupada and said, he asked them, what are you doing to help the poor? And Prabhupada quoted from the Bible, from Jesus, and said, Jesus said, the poor will always be with us. They'll always, by the laws of nature, there'll always be poor people. So the attempt, Garibi Hatao, who said that? Which great Mahatma said that? Garibi Hatao. Any older people here? That was an election slogan of Srimati Indira Gandhi. It was an election slogan, and there were so many poor people in here at that time. And during her whole reign, there were so many poor people. And after that, there are so many poor people. There are always going to be poor people. Does that mean we shouldn't have any social uplift programs? Yeah, but put God in the center. The cause of disparity in human society, as Srila Prabhupada writes at the very beginning of his huge Srimad presentation of Bhagavatam, disparity in human society is due to godlessness. As I was saying this morning in the class. Was it this morning or last night? Morality. Where did I speak about that? Morality. People talk about morality, but people who are actually self-realized, they don't think very much about morality. They don't think, should I do this or shouldn't I do it? They're automatically, they don't act to exploit others. It's only people who have in their mind the idea of exploiting others who all the time have to talk about be moral, be good, do good. If we have a motive to please God, then automatically we won't exploit others. Automatically we'll be moral. So much poverty comes about due to the exploitive spirit. Just like these big corporations, they get a license from the governments for the water supply, and then all the people who for uncounted generations have been taking free water from the earth, then they have to pay some corporation for the same water. Same thing here in India now. So the same water you got free, now you have to pay. In one lecture, Prabhupada said that they're taxing everything. They'll probably tax us for chanting Hare Krishna if it becomes more popular.
Pass urine also you have to pay.
Huh?
To pass urine also you have to pay.
Yeah, to pass urine in the city. No one could imagine previously you'd have to pay to pass water, to drink water. Prabhupada said if they'll tax us for chanting Hare Krishna. But we don't mind. Krishna will supply the money. So what was the question anyway? I forgot.
Why do we spend money?
Why do we spend money for temples? So what do you spend money for, you rascal? When you get extra money, what do you do with it? Smoking, drinking, what other nonsense? Cinemas, big buildings so people can jump out and commit suicide, or someone can fly an airplane into it. What do you spend money for? We build temples to glorify God. Who are you glorifying? Some prostitutes who dance around on the stage. And you have all these pretty women who they're glorified. You spend so much money to glorify all these low-class people. And we glorify Krishna. So you're also spending money for glorifying. So we're glorifying Krishna. If it's supposed to be a free society, so we'll spend the money for glorifying Krishna. And you can spend the money for going to hell by glorifying all these worse than useless people.
My name is Sumit and I am from Mumbai. I have came across in Prabhupada's books and in your own lectures. So I would like to ask, why are you Hare Krishnas so opposed to modern schools?
Why am I so opposed to modern schools? Well, it's not just me. It's any intelligent person. I mean, even materially, there are people, you can see people wearing t-shirts saying, I was born intelligent, but then I got an education. It's quite a common motive in the Western world. Modern education, the very term shows what's wrong with it. Because education means to give knowledge, and if you say modern education, it gives the idea that it's different to what it was previously. That means there's no fixed platform, which means it's not knowledge. As I've many times given the example, when I was at school, I was taught that the biological cell is a very simple, what shall we say, matrix, and soon scientists will be able to produce that in the laboratory. So in my biology class, I answered the question like that. If I was to answer in the same way today, what I got a pass for previously, I get a fail for now, because now they discovered that it's much, much more complex than they thought it was. So that means it wasn't knowledge. It wasn't proper education at all. And postscript to this is that even much later I found out that even when they were teaching this to me, they'd already discovered that the cell is much more complex than they thought it was, but it takes time to update the curriculum. And anyway, you have to wait for all one generation of teachers and scientists, because they're convinced it's true, that the cell is very simple. You have to wait for them all to die out. That's the Kuhn, Thomas Kuhn, what is the nature of scientific revolutions. He says that even if something's found out and proved scientifically, you have to wait for all the old generation of scientists to die out before it becomes accepted, because they'll never accept it. So Thomas Kuhn, one of the most important thinkers of the latter half of the 20th century, pointed out that scientists, they're not so scientific anyway. They have their material foibles, and so the very term modern education gives the idea that, well, it's really up to date, which means that it's not knowledge, it's the latest speculation. The whole idea is that, well, that's what we know best now, and pretty much they can be sure that whatever they know now, it won't be accepted as knowledge in the future. Scientists and educators can be pretty sure that if we come in 500 years and we still have science classes, then whatever you're taught nowadays would be largely superseded by various breakthroughs in science and different paradigms. So that's one reason. Another reason is that the modern education means it's largely on an atheistic basis. They don't teach what is the ultimate goal of life. They don't teach who you are. First thing everyone should learn. They should know, who am I? It's just presumed in modern education. It's presumed in the modern society. No one talks about it much, but it's just presumed that we're here to live and enjoy this life, and we don't even think about what happens after it. So it's a very, very blind society. Actually, children, they often ask this kind of question, that, well, what happens after death? Why do we die? And parents just say, oh, don't ask such a silly question. To the child, it doesn't seem stupid, and actually it's not stupid. It's a very good question, but the parent doesn't even want to think about it. They're afraid even to discuss the question. So they say it's a silly question, and they go on with their life, working, getting money, spending money, wishing they had more money, and blocking out of their mind the important question that even a child will think about. So this education is how to live in ignorance of the real questions of life. Of course, there are philosophers who take up these kind of questions, the secular philosophy, but the nature of philosophy is that the more you study it, the more confused you become in the modern kind of philosophy. So that's useless. That's not philosophy. That's just all kinds of, because there's so many ideas and so many people think so many things, then you get confused. Therefore, tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshyanti te jnanam jnanena sapnadarshana. Once you go to someone who knows and learn from that person, there's a system to learn from that person. There is knowledge. There is actual knowledge of reality and what we're doing here. The very idea that we seek education, we're not content just to, like animals, to grow up and get some food somehow or other, grab some animal and kill it and eat it, or some man grabs some woman and rapes her, and we're not humans. Why do they need education? We could all live like that. Why do we have education? What is this urge to know? Where does that come from? That suggests that there is, just like we feel thirsty, there's an urge to drink water, because there is an actual need for that and a use for that. So there is a desire to get knowledge and to come to a higher platform. What is the ultimate? Why is that? Because ultimately there is knowledge. There is ultimate knowledge, so we can find out where to get that knowledge, how to get that knowledge. That is the Vedic system. Veda means knowledge. Knowledge that's very different from what they call modern education. Knowledge, shifting knowledge. But that which is true is always true. Even materially we can say some things, they don't change in course of time. 2 + 2 = 4. It was true. Even before there, if we accept this Darwinian theory of evolution, which we don't, but even if you say there were humans who didn't understand these things, but still it was true then, it always will be. And there's another thing. What is a number anyway? It's a concept. It's just a concept, that's all. There's no thing such as a number. What is a 0? Put a 0 after a 1. It's all conceptual, but it works. How is that? God's a good mathematician. Everything works according to mathematics. All these laws of science, you have to understand mathematics. What if we had a numerical system that the 0 came not 8, 9, 10, but 8, 9, something, and then at 12? Then our whole mathematics would be different. You get the point? The base is 10. But if it went up to 12, our whole mathematics, it seems to me, it would be more interesting, because 12 is a more interesting number than 10. There are many more things. But I'm just bringing these things out just to suggest that there's so many things we don't even think about. We just go to school, study, ram these things in your head, and that's called education. How to make yourself more dull. Isn't it? Children, when they're young, they're very bright and hopeful. After they've been to school, by the time they're about 12 years old, they're so they lost all their brightness, and they were smoking, and in the Western countries, all bad habits, sex, everything. So it just takes the spirit out of it. Then they have this kind of Montessori education, which they try to bring out the creative impulse within the children, but that's also useless, because it still doesn't answer the question, who am I, what is the purpose of life, where am I going? This is education. Etaj jnanam iti proktam jnanam yadat anyonyata. How does that begin? That's a series of verses. Bhagavad Gita. Can't you shut up? I'm asking the kids. Too late. Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, text number 8, isn't it? 8 to 12. He already said it. Amanitvam adhambitvam. Yeah. Education means character building. One should develop good qualities. Otherwise, what's the point? If you're an educated but nasty, then you use your education to exploit others and to exploit those who are less educated. Then it becomes like the jewel on a snake's hood. It looks very nice, but the snake is still very dangerous. So there it is in summary. Why am I against modern education? Well, I went through so many years of it, and I wouldn't want to put anyone else through that. Through that horrible experience of having to study so many things which I knew were useless. And even the teachers, I said to one teacher that, in the class I said once, I said, this is all nonsense. The teacher said, yeah, but you have to study it to get your exam, then you can forget it all. Just nonsense. I remember it was sociology class, and he was reading about fishermen in Hull, which is a city in England, and how they go out to sea and then they come back and then they get drunk and then they go and spend all their money and then they go back. What's the point of, what is this? What are you going to study that for? It's called, and they use all these fancy words like anomie and this and that. We're just talking about a bunch of fishermen who get drunk and then go on a pub crawl, which means they go from one pub to another, to another, to another, to another, till they're completely drunk. They spend a few days, they spend all their money, then they go out on the fishing boat again. What do you want to learn about that for? What's the value of that? It must be better. It must be better things to learn about than that.
For His Holiness Bhakti Vikasa Swami Maharaj's travel schedule, links to lectures and more, please see www.bvks.com. Thank you for watching Ask Hare Krishna. If you have any spiritual questions, then kindly send your questions as audio or video clips by WhatsApp to +91 9987 0606 or by email to askhktv@gmail.com. Hare Krishna.